Congratulations on your provisional admission into our global apprenticeship program at the Plenipotent Company Network. My name is Philip Amiola. I'll be your coach during your participation in the program. As you might have observed from the application process and orientation course, our apprenticeship program at the Plenipotent Company is not the typical kind of apprenticeship or internship. It's a comprehensive intervention to equip young graduates and early stage professionals for outstanding success, not only at work, but also in every area of life. One of the unique characteristics you will discover about us at the Plenipotent Company is how we use our business to build people instead of using people to build our business. So the apprenticeship offers ample opportunities to develop yourself, test your ideas, work on real life projects, and acquire relevant credentials that will give you a huge advantage at work and in life. When we talk about credentials, we're not talking about certificates. A lot of people have certificates that they don't even know what to do with it. We're talking about becoming a credible person. Certificates, CVs, and all of those things tell people what you say you can do. But it is your credentials that actually build credibility, what you have actually done. You understand? Okay, so what you have done, those are your real credentials. You can say, I can do this for you because I have done that in the past. So one of the main things we're going to be doing during the program is that you're going to be working on real life projects so that you will build your portfolio. It will be clear. You are going to show people what you can do, okay, instead of just telling them. We hope that you are going to commit to the process and take full advantage of all that has been made available. Okay, so let's go into the rest of the session. We're going to take our opening prayer, then we go into the rest of the session. Now, before then, I want you to understand that you can type your questions in the chat at any point in time. This is more like a group interview. We're telling you about the company. We're telling you about the program that you are entering into so that you can make up your mind if you really want to proceed or if you prefer to check out, because we want those that understand what we're trying to do and that are committed to the process. And it's a 6-month program. Within 6 months, your life will be transformed. If you are ready to be committed, 6 months is not too much time, okay, to invest. Most of you probably spent 4 years or more in the university, and for most people, the vast majority of people, what you learned in the university is not enough to help you make it in life, to help you succeed, to help you pursue your dreams. And we're saying, just give us 6 months, and you'll find that the 6 months is going to be far more worthwhile. Fine, it's okay, it's necessary. In fact, especially in this part of the world, it's very necessary to at least get your first degree. Yes, we're not downplaying that. But we're telling you that what you are going to get in 6 months, what you are going to build upon the foundation that has already been laid in 6 months will be worth much more, okay, than what you got in your 4 or 5 or 6 years, of going through the formal education system, as it were, okay? So, that reminds me of something that Jim Rohn said. He said that formal education will make you a living, okay, but self-education will make you a fortune. Okay, formal education will make you a living, self-education will make you a fortune. What we offer in the internship and apprenticeship program is self-education, which will make you a fortune, okay, in a lot of ways. It's not just about the money. Your life is going to get better in a lot of ways. Okay, so let's take our opening prayer. Remember, you can type in the chat, okay, at any point. And after this session, you can also ask your questions. You can ask your questions on the discussion platform in the Plenipotent Co community. You can ask your questions, because the idea is that we are telling you about the company, okay, then you are also asking your questions. You can type those questions in the chat, or you can ask on the discussion platform. Now, let us take our creed. Read it out loud wherever you are joining us from. 1, 2, go. As an emissary of the Almighty God, creator of heaven and earth, the divine life is at work in me. By virtue of this supernatural advantage, I have overcome the limitations of my environment and risen to my full potential. The Almighty God has given me wisdom and power to build up vast assets that have continued to generate an abundance of wealth, bringing me to places of influence and affluence. My wealth and riches have continued to increase and multiply exceedingly, so much that accounting for them is like counting the stars in the sky and the sand on the seashore. I have found my place in God's eternal plan for humanity and realized His purpose for my life. I am now a blessing to everyone in my spheres of influence, for as He is, so am I in this world. Okay. So let's go into the presentation right away. Before we talk about these highlights, let's just give a brief background of the Plenipotent Company. You should have seen this in the orientation course, but some of these things, it's helpful to repeat them a few times before people actually get it, okay? So the Plenipotent Company was conceived out of a desire to make it possible for people to get the help they need, even if they can't afford it. That's why we started the company. The company was incorporated in November 2017 and began operations in May 2018. We started out by offering writing and content development services such as business writing, rapporteur services, proofreading and editing, ghostwriting, practically anything that requires textual content. We then added digital solutions such as website development, book publishing, and some aspects of digital marketing. Now, we have evolved into an enterprise development company with a growing portfolio of businesses in our network. At the time of making this presentation, we have Content Labs, which handles content development. We have Brain Skills Systems and Strategies, which offers training and recruitment services. Our digital solutions portfolio is handled by Digital Vineyard, while Contrarian Business Solutions provides business consulting and advisory services. Our vision is to start 150 businesses that will provide purpose-driven employment for at least 3 million people from every nation in the world. This is why we are now focused on building a multidisciplinary network of entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs that provide innovative solutions to context-specific problems across various sectors. And our apprenticeship program is a very important part of that process. Okay, so the entire system that we are building to make this happen is what we have called the GAP movement. Okay, GAP is short for Growth Ambassadors Programme. Okay, you saw that at the beginning of this presentation, GAP. Okay, so you may be wondering what is the GAP movement about. The GAP is short for Growth Ambassadors Programme. And what is the essence of the Growth Ambassadors Programme? It is to move people from problem to potential. So there is a gap between problem and potential. We have the potential to solve every problem that we have, but a lot of people are fixated on the problems. So we want to help people to bridge that gap. We want to create a bridge that takes people from problem, okay, to potential. If you check the Encyclopedia of World Problems and Human Potential, there is such an encyclopedia. Okay, maybe you can even check it out. Okay, Encyclopedia of World Problems and Human Potential. Let's just type that in Google. So, okay, it's here. Now, if you check that encyclopedia, okay, there are over 56,000 human problems. Over 56,000 human problems. Okay, so everybody has something to do. You can pick, and those problems also have sub problems. They have problems under them. Okay, like more than 56,000. So there is just a lot to do. And if you are focused on solving problems, if you are focused on creating value for people, you will always have your own problem solved. The problem is that, yes, the real problem is that people are so focused on their own problems. Okay, you see, this is it, the encyclopedia is this. Now, it contains profiles of from 56,000 plus word problems. Okay. Now, but the real problem is that a lot of people are more focused on their own problems. They are so fixated on their own problems that they are not maximizing their potential. They are not trying to solve problems for other people. Okay. So the idea is that when you maximize your potential, you are able to solve your own problems, and in the process of solving your own problems, you develop capacity to also help other people. So that's outward looking mindset is very important. You're not fixated on your own problems. You're trying to see how you can solve other people's problems, and we see that even throughout human history and also in the Bible, those that actually succeed exceptionally are those that are focused on solving problems for other people. Look at someone like Bill Gates, for example. He had the goal of putting a computer on every table. He wanted to, make, the power of computing available to people, so just like you are looking, for example, maybe you are looking to get a car, you are looking to, have a house. Now that is one level. Now you can start thinking, okay, how can you be the one that makes it possible for other people to own cars? How can you be the one that makes it possible for other people to own their own houses? Then once you start thinking like that, you'll be amazed. Fine, it's more difficult work, but it's also more rewarding work. You'll be surprised that resources will start flowing your way. You start getting the insights that you need. You start getting the connections, the networks, the materials, okay, that you need to make it happen. For example, now, I was once a recent graduate looking for jobs and all of that. And every recent graduate, practically every recent graduate is looking for a job. So I decided by the grace of God, that's fine. Instead of just looking for a job for myself, I can be the person, I can be one of the people providing jobs for others. Okay, now the apprenticeship program came from that, and a lot of other things have sprung up, okay, from that. Lots of people have literally, practically got fantastic jobs through participating in the apprenticeship program, and it has created a lot of opportunities for people, which at the end of the day also come back in a number of amazing benefits for me. Okay, but if I am focused on, no, I want a job, I want the best job, fine, it's okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But how about being the person that creates jobs for others? Do you understand? So that is the idea. So that's the idea of the gap movement. And I just used a few examples to illustrate what we're saying. But the general idea is that you have a problem in your life, or you have identified a problem around you. Okay, how can you move from problem to potential? Okay, all of these are some notifications from some of the platforms that we run and some that I belong to. So just ignore those notifications. Okay, now, so that's the idea of the gap movement. So we have different vehicles through which we are achieving this. One of those vehicles is the Enterprise Development Program. So under the Enterprise Development Program, we have our graduate apprenticeship program, okay, or a virtual internship program. It's actually the same program, but there are two parts. Okay, there are two parts to the program. At the beginning, what you actually sign up for is the internship program. So by the time you go through the orientation course, you complete the assignments, and you have met the requirements, then you are admitted into the apprenticeship program. So there are two parts of the same program. Okay, so the internship program is focused more on learning. You are getting knowledge, you are getting skills, you are acquiring knowledge and skills. Okay, then the apprenticeship program is now focused on applying the knowledge and skills you have acquired, okay, and then gaining experience. Okay, so at the end of the day, you have knowledge, you have skills, you have experience, you build your network. Okay, so you work on real life projects during the apprenticeship phase of the program. Okay, so that is what you are signing up for, okay, right now. So what is even the apprenticeship program about? Now, before we proceed, you might have noticed that, okay, the Growth Ambassadors Programme, the acronym for that is GAP. Okay, the acronym for the Global Apprenticeship Program is also GAP. Okay, so it's deliberate. Okay, so the GAP movement is the umbrella body for everything. Then the Global Apprenticeship Program is part of the interventions, one of the interventions under, that movement. So to outsiders, we don't tell outsiders, oh, sign up for our Growth Ambassadors Program, because you have to speak in a language that people understand. So to outsiders, to the target audience, it is Global Apprenticeship Program. Okay, but we know that Global Apprenticeship Program is a subset of the entire movement, which is Growth Ambassadors Program. Okay, so I hope you understand that. It's if you don't, you can ask questions, okay? Okay, so what is the Global Apprenticeship Program about? We designed the Global Apprenticeship Program to reduce unemployment and promote entrepreneurial leadership through the development of a skilled and competitive workforce. It's a capacity building program for diligent and hard-working young graduates and early-stage professionals who would like to put their free time to productive use. If you are desperately looking for a job or a monthly salary, this is not the right kind of opportunity for you. But if you are looking for an opportunity to exert yourself and work on high-impact projects that will advance your career and ultimately increase your earning potential, you will find the apprenticeship to be a very rewarding experience. If you commit to the program over the next 6 months, you will have opportunities to gain mastery in a wide range of relevant areas beyond acquiring technical skills. So in short, the goal of the Enterprise Development Program, under which we have the Global Apprenticeship Program, okay, is to raise entrepreneurial leaders. Who are entrepreneurial leaders? Entrepreneurial leaders are people that understand how to move from problem to potential. Okay, they are people that approach problems as opportunities for innovation. So every problem that comes their way, this is an opportunity for innovation. What can we do? How can we do this in a new way? What is innovation? Innovation is the process of coming up with new ideas, okay, that solve real life problems, new ideas that solve, problems, while also creating economic and social value. A lot of people are an innovation. No, every real innovation, check it. That innovation will involve new ideas. Okay, then it will solve a real problem or some real problems, and then in the process, it's going to create economic value. It's going to create social value. Okay, for example, the internet is an innovation. This experience we're having right now is made possible because of the internet. It has solved the problem of people have to be in the same space for them to interact and all. It has, and that's just one. There are a lot of other things that the internet has done. We have online banking. We have a lot of. Do you understand? That is an example of an innovation. Okay. But innovation does not have to be on a grand scale, grand as in GRAND. It doesn't have to be on a grand scale. We can innovate little by little every day. And at the end of the day, the little, progress that you make on a daily basis adds up to something very huge and significant. Okay, but that mindset, that is where it starts from. And that's what we're trying to cultivate during the apprenticeship program. As you work on projects, you are going to understand practically how this works. Like I often say, it's like driving. Okay, you can go to the best driving school. I went to one of the best driving schools in Lagos, one of the best driving schools in Nigeria, and we had a simulator. Okay, so you drive in the simulator, and you have a feel of what it looks like to drive on the road, and you feel confident. You've taken all of the theoretical lessons and everything, and you have used the simulator. You feel like you're on the road and all. But until you actually get in the real car and you start driving on the road, you don't know that you can drive. You understand? Okay, so that is the way it is. So it is in practice that we actually learn. You can get a lot of knowledge, you can get a lot of information, but if you don't apply them to real life projects, you are eventually going to end up frustrated as a result of information overload. So what you are going to have will be information overload, but what we are trying to achieve is transformation. Okay, there is a difference between just acquiring information and achieving transformation. Information is the raw material, yes, but that raw material has to be processed. Okay, it has to be processed for you to achieve transformation. And that is why at the Plenipotent Company, one of our axioms, one of the things that we believe is that the transformation is in the process. It's not just by reading books, it's not just by taking courses. Those things are important. Those will give you the raw materials to work with. But you now have to process those raw materials so that you can achieve the desired transformation. Now, we have a BHAG. If you've read Built to Last by Jim Collins, okay, you will understand what BHAG means. Okay, it's called BHAG, but it's called BHAG. That's the pronunciation. And it's short for Big, Hairy, Audacious Goal. Big, Hairy, Audacious Goal. So our Big, Hairy, Audacious Goal for the apprenticeship program is to produce 3 million entrepreneurial leaders by 2046. Not the apprenticeship program, the Enterprise Development Program, under which we have the apprenticeship program. We have other programs under the enterprise development program. Okay, so the graduate apprenticeship program, or the global apprenticeship program, or the virtual internship program, depending on which way you are looking at it from, depending on your perspective and the target audience we're speaking with. Okay, all of those are under the enterprise development program. Okay, and the big area audacious goal for the enterprise development program as a whole is to have 3 million entrepreneurial leaders by 2046. Now, we set this goal in 2021, okay, which gave us 25 years to achieve this. Now, it may look like, hey, is this possible and all of that, but by the grace of God, we have seen it. Like, we understand exactly what to do to make it happen. And, God gave us the formula. God can actually give formulas. God gave us the formula to make this happen. Okay. And we have, studied, we have experimented, we have, made improvements, and we continue to make improvements. So the formula is what we call the EDP equation. So we have a formula and we have a framework. So I will take you through the EDP equation so that you see how you come in, and you see what is expected of you, and you see that this is actually very simple and possible, which is why long-term thinking is very important. If you learn to adopt long-term thinking, you are going to be far ahead of a lot of people simply by adopting long-term thinking. A lot of people are thinking in terms of 2 years, 3 years. In fact, Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, he said something, I'm not quoting him exactly now, but he said something about the fact that when you have a 7-year perspective, you are already way ahead of a lot of people. You are already way ahead of your competition, because a lot of people are thinking short-term. And I don't remember who said this. I think it's Michael Hyatt, but I'm not sure. But somebody said, and it's true, I've seen that it's true. He said that we overestimate what we can achieve in the short term and underestimate what we can achieve in the long term. Okay, and that's a problem. We overestimate what we can achieve in the short term and underestimate what we can achieve in the long term. So when we adopt a long-term perspective, we gain, momentum, and we also bring the powers of compound interest. Okay, we put the powers of compound interest to work, okay, on our behalf. So your efforts compound over time, and you look back and it's like, wow, is this what I've achieved? But if you are trying to achieve so much in so short time, you just overwhelm yourself, and you may even, burn out, and you may even abandon the project. But when you approach it little by little with a long-term perspective, you'll be amazed that, wow, and it doesn't take as long as it seems. For example, at the time of making this presentation, looking back now, it's kind of surprising to think that, okay, so I already finished, I finished school, okay, that was in 2010. Okay, so at the time of making this presentation, so that means that's some 13 years ago. And I'm looking at so is it 13 years already? I've finished my first degree, 13 years ago. And I'm like, so is it 13 years already? So these things don't really take that much time. I finished secondary school 2000 and, was that... the point is, when I look at, okay, when I started secondary school, now it's already over 20 something years ago. You understand? So it doesn't take much, as long. It doesn't take as long as it seems it takes. So life is actually very short, which is why we should adopt that long-term perspective, see the end from the beginning, and then work towards it steadily, okay, in a sustainable manner. So let us look at the ADP equation and framework, starting with the equation. Okay, so this is the equation. E is equal to D times 2 raised to power T minus 1. Okay, where E is equal to entrepreneurial leaders, D stands for disciples, then T is for time. Okay, so the enterprise development program, okay, is actually a discipleship program. We adopt a discipleship model. Okay, and the apprenticeship is actually another word for discipleship when you study. So we adopt a discipleship model. If you look at the way Jesus related with his disciples, for example, that is the way we run the apprenticeship program. Okay, you say me, okay, do something, okay, I show you how to do it, I create systems and processes, then you see other leaders in the company do something, you see how they do it, you model it, and then Jesus Christ says that every student, okay, that has learned what he's supposed to learn will be like his master, and at the end of the day, you'll be like your coach, you'll be like your teacher, you'll be like your whoever is mentoring you. And at the end of the day, you actually actually get to do a lot more. You will get to do a lot more. You get to do much more than they did, which is why Jesus told his disciples that greater things than these shall you do. You understand? That is the idea. So the formula is E equal to D times 2 raised to power T minus 1. E is for entrepreneurial leaders. D for disciples. T is for time. Now, let us look at it this way. Just follow me as I go along. Then we're going to show you the calculator. We have developed a calculator for this, such that once you enter in the figures, it gives you the number of entrepreneurial leaders that will be produced. But let's just think about it, okay, like this. Now let's say this is our first edition. This is not the first edition, but let us say this is our first edition. Let's say you are coming in for the first edition, and we have 2 people. So I train those 2 people. And they become entrepreneurial leaders. They learn how to turn problems into opportunities for innovation, okay, in such a way as to create social and economic value. Okay, so they start businesses or they work in businesses. They work as intrapreneurs or entrepreneurs. Intrapreneurs are people that adopt an entrepreneurial mindset when working in a business that is not their own. Okay, so you don't have to be an entrepreneur to be an entrepreneurial leader. You can be an intrapreneur. That means you are in a company, you are working in a company as an employee, but you are bringing valuable contributions. You are finding new ways, new processes to do things, and you are doing that. You are implementing those new ideas you have in a way that creates economic value and creates social value. Okay, so you are an intrapreneur. Okay, for example, in one of my former workplaces, they had a lot of websites, a lot of online projects. And back then I did not know anything about website development. So I went ahead to learn website development, and I took over the management of the organization's websites. There were lots of them. There were online magazines. There were, different companies, like lots of them. So I saved the company a lot of money in recurring revenue, money that they would have been paying to a webmaster. I took up that role, and I just added it to my current portfolio, and I was doing that. Then the company itself also, we now started the website development. We started offering website development services. So that increased the company's bottom line. So I created economic value there. Okay, the company was making more money because of the contributions I was making, even though I was not the owner of the company. Do you understand? So that's an example of how intrapreneurs work. And that's just an example. There are a lot of examples. But the point is, you have that ownership mindset. You have that mindset of creating value, even if or when it is not your own business. And Jesus said something: if you are not faithful in another man's business, who will give you your own? Because he that is faithful in little is also faithful in much. And you don't even need to have your own in that sense. It depends on your calling. If you are called to start a business, fantastic. If you are not called to start a business, it's okay. It's okay to be an employee and adopt an intrapreneurial mindset. The problem is that a lot of people are just there for the money. They are not looking to create value. There is nothing, they are not concerned about the growth and progress of the organization, which is a terrible thing. You should be concerned about the growth and progress of the organization you belong to. I remember when I went for a meeting, okay, a colleague and I, in that former company where I worked, a colleague and I went for a meeting with a professor in Lagos Business School. By the time we finished with him, he was amazed, he was surprised, and he asked us, he felt we were the owners of the company. He actually asked us, how the question, I don't say, no, we're not, we're employees. They were surprised because we adopted an entrepreneurial mindset. When I was eventually going to leave, okay, and I told some of my friends. One of them said, what do you mean? How can you resign from your own company? That was exactly what he said. He said, how can you resign from your own company? Because he thought all along we had been friends. He didn't even know that I was not the owner of the company because of the way I conducted myself, the way I, promoted the company, the way. So people even thought it was my company. So that is the idea of being an intrapreneur. It's not your business, but you are doing it as if it is your own. You are putting in the effort. You are creating social and economic value. Economic value first, because it's a business. Okay, it's important to create economic value, and then from the economic value you create, you also get to create social value. You understand? Okay, but if you are a social entrepreneur, then social value comes first, okay, then economic value, okay. But it's important to actually create both economic value and social value. So if you are doing that in your own organization, an organization that you own, then you are an entrepreneur. If you are doing that in an organization that you do not own, okay, maybe you are an employee or you are a staff there, okay, then you are an intrapreneur. Okay, so now let's also say that the first year 2 people get admitted into the program, and I train those 2 people, I mentor them, and then they become entrepreneurial leaders. So at the end of the first year, how many entrepreneurial leaders are we going to have? We're going to have 2. But now everybody that is going through this program is required to do the same thing that we are doing for them, the same thing that I and the company, or the company and I are doing for them. You are required to do the same thing for at least 2 other people within 1 year of completing the program. So if you are not ready to do that now, then you should know that this program is not for you, because we expect that what you have got, okay, you share it with others. You can actually do much more than 2, but everybody can do at least 2. So we have made this very easy. Now imagine that. So the second year, these 2 people that were raised the first year, let us say 2 of you go through this program right now, and then the second year, each of you raises 2 other people. Each of you bring up 2 other people, you teach them what you have learned. Okay, so that means you have 4 people now. Okay, so 2 of you, 2 persons per entrepreneurial leader. So that means you now have 4 in the second year. Now, in the third year, each of those 4 people, we also raise 2 people each. So how many people do we have now? You can type in the chat. So in the third year, we have 4 entrepreneurial leaders, each of whom we also raise 2 entrepreneurial leaders. So how many entrepreneurial leaders do we have at the end of the day? So that means we have 8 in the third year, okay? And then it goes on and on like that. You will see how it scales over time. It scales rapidly, as we proceed. So let us show the formula so that you understand it better, okay? The equation or the formula, let's demonstrate it. Now, even before we demonstrate this formula, for those of you that are familiar with physics, maybe you did some physics in secondary school, or you just like physics, what does it look like? It looks like there's a popular formula, maybe the most popular equation in the world. Maybe, that this actually looks like it. If you know that, type in the chat, or you can mention it on the discussion platform, okay? Now, so let us see what it looks like. Let's look at the calculator, okay? Okay, digitalvineyard.uk/EDP equation. So this is a calculator that we developed, okay, to make it easy for anyone to see the progression of what we're talking about, because you need to see that this thing is achievable and that it is not difficult once we do the simple things we're supposed to do. So the first year, I trained 2 people. Okay, we have 2 disciples entering to the program. Okay, and then that's for the first year. So 1 year, let's say 1 year. And then now at the end of the day, we have 2 entrepreneurial leaders. But now we're not even saying year, we're saying, the number of times. So if I am able to improve the program and we make it a 3-month program, then that means in 1 year we can actually have it 4 times. And then in 1 year we can raise 16 entrepreneurial leaders. As it is now, we have improved it. Before it used to be 1 year, but we have improved it such that it is a 6-month program now. So that means in 1 year, we're going to do this 2 times, and we're going to have 4 entrepreneurial leaders. But let's even say that we're only doing once a year, because we want to have a conservative estimate. And you know that we can actually have more than 2 disciples each time also. We can have more than 2 people admitted into the program. We can have 4, we can have 8, but we want a very, very conservative estimate that will not put pressure on anybody. So now look at what we did before. We said the first year you have 2 people. Okay, I trained 2 people, 2 people come out. The second year, okay, those 2 people that were trained in the first year, each of them trains 2 other people. So we're going to have 4. So when you look at the field for entrepreneurial leaders now, and we change the time to 2, you will find that the entrepreneurial leaders will become 4. Okay, so in the third year, each of those 4 people, we also raise 2 people. Okay, so by the time each of them raises 2 people, we have 8. Do you understand? Okay, now let us continue. Let us say in 10 years, what is going to happen? In 10 years, we have 1,024 entrepreneurial leaders. Okay, in 15 years, you see how it scales. In 15 years, 32,768. In 21 years, or let's even say in 20 years first. In 20 years, we have 1 million. We would have raised 1 million simply by this simple model. You understand? Now, in 21 years, see what happens. 2 million. Let's say in 24 years, 16 million, over 16 million, 16,777,260 entrepreneurial leaders. That's what we would have raised. Okay, that's the number of entrepreneurial leaders that would have been raised in 24 years. And our target is simply 3 million. Okay, so 3 million is a small percentage of this. Okay, 3 million is only a small percentage of this. Let's say 3 million. Okay, so when you calculate it, you find that 3 million is actually less than 18%, is about 18% of this number. Okay, so that means if we only achieve 20% success, If our success rate is only 20%, we will achieve our goal. Do you understand? And that is what happens when you really sit down to think about a problem. God gives you inspiration, you get ideas, you get the necessary resources to help you. Now, at first, looking at, you want to raise 3 million entrepreneurial leaders, it looks like, how is this possible? But now you see that it's actually easy. It's very easy. It's not difficult. It's simple. Maybe not easy, but it's simple. It's not complex. It's not complicated. You understand? It's not complicated at all. Okay. So now with the formula makes it easy to see. The equation makes it very easy to see. And you can think through in your own spare time, but we have developed this calculator, to make it easier. And see that this is a very, very conservative estimate. For example, we're not even factoring in the people we're starting with. For example, now in the first year, we say that in the first year we only have we raise two people enter the system, and then we have 2 people coming out at the end of the day. In the second year, each of those 2 people raise 2 other people, okay, and then we have 4 people coming out. Now, what about the 2 people that we started with? So by the time you add those 2 people that we started with, so we actually don't have 4 at the end of the day. We have 6. Do you understand? So, but we decided to make this very, very conservative, so that it's not going to put pressure, on anyone, and then we are going to see that it's actually achievable. That's on one hand. Now, on another hand, this formula assumes that I only train 2 people and then I stop. Okay, then they continue the process. Now, if I do this every year or maybe every few years, then it increases the number of people that come out again at the end of the day. Do you understand? So there's a lot of flexibility built into the formula or into the equation and into the system, okay, to achieve this goal. Okay. And why are we doing this? There are a lot of problems in the world. As we have seen, the encyclopedia of world problems and human potential, it was like more than 56,000 different categories of problems. Okay, so if we can solve those problems, then we're going to be able to create a lot of value. We're going to be able to make meaningful impact, in the world, instead of just, living an ordinary life. Okay, like, most people. Okay, so that is the idea. Now, so we're going to now look at some principles and illustrations that will help you understand how to conduct yourself throughout the program. So it's not about we want to build website. No, it's not about we want to write books. No, it's not about what. It's more about the why. We want you to understand the why. Once you understand the why, once you understand the framework, you can plug a lot of things into that framework. Okay, once you understand, it's just like knowing how to drive a car. If you can drive a Toyota Camry, you can drive you can drive a Mercedes, whatever. Do you understand? It's the same principle. Do you get it? So that's the way it works. So the idea is that you learn the principles, you adopt the mindset, then you can apply it in any field. You can apply it in aviation industry. You can apply it as a mechanical engineer. You can apply it as a teacher. You can apply it as a data analyst. So it's not about, I want to learn data analysis or I want to learn website development. No, that's not what we are doing in this program. We're going to give you some projects to work on, like website development projects, different kinds of projects, content development, different kinds of projects. But the goal is not those projects. Those projects just create a context in which you can develop the kind of skills that you are going to need to become an entrepreneurial leader. One example that I give a lot is this guy that wanted to learn how to become a boxer. So he went to meet a master boxer and I said, I want to learn how to box and I want to be a good boxer and all of that. And the first assignment the master boxer gave him was they gave him a bucket of paint and a ladder. I put a ladder against a wall. I said, go and paint that wall, and gave him a bucket of paint and a paintbrush. And the guy was like, he was fuming inside, like, I want to learn boxing. You're asking me to go paint a wall. If you don't have money to paint your wall, why not, like you should get somebody to paint your wall. Now, how can you be using me, to paint your wall? That was the mindset. But the master didn't need to paint that wall. He didn't need to paint the wall. It was an opportunity for the younger man, the man that wanted to learn boxing, to develop the kind of hand coordination that he was going to need in the boxing ring. Now, the senior man now, the master, he already knows, he had learned over time from experience that, there's a certain kind of hand coordination you need when you're in the boxing ring, but it is easier for you to develop that coordination outside the boxing ring. And the simple activity of painting a wall, will help you develop that kind of hand coordination. That's why he gave the young man that task. So when the young man finished the task, the elderly man now explained to him, this is why. So he now understood in retrospect. But thank God that he did it all the same. It's just like the situation of Naaman also. There's a story in the Bible about an army general that went to meet a prophet, and back then, prophets are actually consultants, okay? And when you meet a good consultant, I've said that before for those of you that maybe on the in the Pentecostal community, if you meet a good consultant, they actually work like prophets. They know what is going to happen. They have insights, into things and all of that. So it's just like this army general went to meet the consultant, as it were, maybe but in this case, it was actually a prophet, okay? So he went to meet Prophet Elisha and said, okay, he had a skin disease, he had a medical, he had a condition in his body that he needed healing for. And then the man didn't even come out, the consultant didn't come out, the prophet in this case did not come out to see him. He just sent his assistant and gave him instruction, okay, fine, go and take your bath 7 times in the river Jordan. And the army general was mad, like, what do you mean? Like, he told me, go and, take my bath or go and swim or whatever, in river Jordan or 4 rivers. If at all you even want me to swim in the river, are there no better rivers in Syria? Why river Jordan, and all of that? In fact, I thought you were going to come out, wave your hand and do some special miracle. You are now asking me to go into the river, So he got angry and he turned back and he was leaving. Then one of his guys now told him, sir, this thing that he's asking you to do is not difficult. Why not just do it and see? And thankfully, he humbled himself, went through the process. You remember what we said, that the transformation is in the process. It didn't look like it. What's the relationship between diving inside water and then getting healing for your body? There is no relationship, but there are forces at work. There are forces behind these things that are beyond what we see. And for those of you that went through the orientation course and some of the sessions we have had with past participants, you will see their story. When you connect the dots, you find out, wow, all of them, attested to the fact that the apprenticeship program or the internship program was a major part that launched them, into what they are doing right now. And when you look at what they are doing right now, it is, huge, compared to, do you understand? So that's the idea. Okay, so the idea is that there are some simple things you can do that will help you develop the right kind of mindset, that will help you become the kind of person that can make things happen. So at the end of the day, some of you say, I want to become, my dream, my vision is to be, an excellent website designer or an excellent website developer. That cannot be your vision. That cannot be your dream. Okay, that can be one of the things that you are going to do that will lead you, okay, into your vision. Do you understand? But that cannot be your vision. The point is, okay, what problem are you solving with those websites? For example, what problem are you solving? So that now your vision can now come from there. Because at the end of the day, if you are really very good, you will get overwhelmed. How many websites do you want to be? Do you want to do 1,000 websites? So you now start to create systems. And I just use website development as an example. It applies to everything else. You want to be a data analyst, you want to be, you are a mechanical engineer, whatever it is you are doing. At the end of the day, you need to get to the point where what you are doing is that you are building systems, okay, that empower other people to do that thing so that you can now do it at scale, okay, instead of how many people can you serve on your own? But you have mastered the principles and then you now build systems to make it happen. Like one of the things we also emphasize is the fact that as an entrepreneur, as an entrepreneurial leader, your work is not to get the job done. Your work is to create systems that get the job done. And that's the difference between self-employed people and business owners. Most people that call themselves business owners, they're actually not business owners. They are still employees. They are employees of their own business. You understand? And it's a more difficult thing when you're an employee in your own business. It's a more difficult thing than being an employee elsewhere. And your growth is going to be seriously limited. So it's best to be a business owner. Business owners create systems, okay, to get the job done. Of course, you still do a lot of, but what you are doing is working on the business. You are working more on the business instead of working in the business. And those are some of the things you are going to learn, as we go through this program. So it's just important to establish that, okay, before we proceed, so that, it's about the, right mindset. Once you adopt that right mindset, once you adopt the fundamental skills and you learn the fundamental principles, you can apply those principles to almost anything else. Okay, so we have seen the equation already. Now, so some illustrations that will help you understand what we're trying to do. Now, right now, more than 117 billion people have lived on the earth. We're not talking about people that are alive right now. We're talking about people that have lived on the earth since the earth began. Okay, more than 100, do your research, more than 117 billion people. But those 117 billion people, they started with just 2 people, Adam and Eve. So what we are doing, you can start with 2 people and a lot will happen. We were not even looking at 117 billion. We're looking at just 3 million, And now a zygote is the cell that is called a diploid cell that comes from the fusion of the sperm and the ovum. Okay, when the sperm fertilizes the ovum during copulation, okay, then we have the zygote. Okay, and that zygote now it begins to grow and becomes a baby. And the average human being has 37 trillion cells. Can you imagine that? Like, can you imagine forming a baby? The brain cells, look at the brain cells, look at the heart, look at the liver, then look at how everything works together, how the heart beats and pumps blood, how everything works together, how the child learns language. Look at all those complex situations. Who can do that? Nobody. You can't do it. But you don't need to do it. God has created a system such that you just do the simple parts. The simple part, okay, see, the man and woman, they come together in the proper way and all of that, and then a zygote is formed, and then the zygote grows into a baby. You understand? The baby, grows in the womb, for a certain period, and then the baby gets delivered and starts growing, and then one single cell, in a matter of, some years, okay, now grows into 37 trillion cells. In fact, some say that the cells in the human body are more than, up to 100 trillion, but at least we have 37 trillion cells, at least now, but only one cell grew into 37 trillion cells. And those 37 trillion cells, there are different kinds of cells, about 200 different kinds of cells, but only one cell has potential to grow into that. Do you understand? So that's exactly even how the idea of plenipotent, that name came about. A plenipotent cell is a cell that can differentiate, into a lot of things. So when you come into the company, it doesn't matter what you want to become or what God has ordained you to become. The system will help you to become it. You understand? So that's just the way it is. So now, a maize seed also, when you plant a maize seed, you have a maize cob. And on a maize cob, or the ear of a maize, you can have up to 600 seeds. So one seed becoming 600 seeds in a matter of months. Okay? Then we have the parable of the vineyard workers. Now, when you understand these things, you will be able to adopt the right mindset towards this program. The parable of the vineyard workers, you can Google that if you're not familiar with it. It's a parable that Jesus told in the Bible. So there was a man there is a man, because it's still present tense, when you are talking about books, okay, like that. So there's a man that, this man has a vineyard, and he went, let's just say 9 a.m. in the morning. He went at different times during the day. So let's say he first went 9 a.m. in the morning, and he saw people looking for work. There is a place in Ife. I don't know if those places, that kind of place are, I believe there are places like that in different places, but in Ile-Ife, Nigeria, for those that are familiar, maybe those of you that went to OU, there's a place called Sabo in Ile-Ife, in Nigeria. Every morning when you go there, you find people waiting for work, waiting like, I need people to, these are people that are looking for manual work, okay, they are just there, hoping that somebody will pick them, okay, and then give them job. So that was the kind of situation. So this man went out in the morning, saw people out 9 a.m. He said, okay, if I come and work in my vineyard, he agreed to pay them the daily wage. Then he went out again, let's say 12 noon, and he saw some people say, what are you guys still doing? This is 12 noon, you should be working by now. He said, we want to work, but nobody is going to give us a job. He said, okay, don't worry, go into my vineyard and work. I will pay you whatever is right. Then he went again, 3 p.m., 3 p.m., and then he said, okay, fine, what are you guys still doing? They said, we want to work, but nobody to give us work. He told them also, go and work in my vineyard, I'll pay you what is right. Then they closed by 5 p.m. Then he went again 4 p.m., 1 hour to closing time. He still met some people, what is happening? Don't you? He said, we want to work. Nobody has offered us a job. He said, don't worry, go into my vineyard and work. I will pay you whatever is right. So this man, it's not like he was looking just like the, master boxer we spoke about that asked somebody to paint the wall. It's not like he needed somebody to paint his wall. He was just trying to create opportunity for somebody else, for people that needed it. And also, this man that was hiring, when you look at that story of this man that was hiring people to work in his vineyard, it's not like he needed workers. He just wanted, to create opportunity for people. He wanted to take them out of unemployment, and that is the concept, of what we're trying to do. Which is why we even have digital vineyard. That's where the concept of digital vineyard came from. So if you are the person that is so fixated on money, how much will you pay me? This is it. Because when you read that story, you find that became a problem at the end of the day. Some people say, how can you pay this person, these people, this amount? They just came. How are you paid? He said, but I agreed with you before we started. So what is the problem? I can do whatever I want with my money, and that's a a problem all over the world. You find employees, you find people, with this entitlement mindset now, demanding, making a lot of demands. So you must do this, you must do that. Now, if it is that easy, if you can, fine, go and start your own company also. And all of those things you are saying, do those things. You are asking for salary increase, start your own company and pay yourself the salary you want to earn. Because the truth is that if you are creating as much value, then the salary increase will not be a problem. Now, if you are not called to start your own business, it's okay. But if you are creating enough value and they are not increasing your salary, drop your notice. Go to another company that appreciates the value you are offering and that will pay you what you are asking for. But people now start to agitate. They start to, protest. They go on strike. And those things don't make sense, like practically speaking. Do you understand? So that is the idea. So the idea is that people that really want to work, people that want to grow, people that are looking for opportunities to develop themselves, we are creating that opportunity for them. And we say, don't worry, go and work. As you work, you develop capacity. Then as you learn, the more you learn, the more you are able to earn. Okay? So that is the idea. So everybody gets the minimum, they get what it takes to cover their costs. But then what you now get after that depends on the quality of work that you do. Then we also have the parable of the talents. And all of these things, like we always say, the Bible's book of life strategies is not a religious book. It's not just a religious book. Now, parable of the talents also is a story also told by Jesus. A man was traveling. He was going to be traveling for a long time, and then he called his team members or his staff, and he gave them talents. Talents in those days is like money. That's why Reverend Sam Adeyemi wrote a book called Parable of Dollars. You can look for the book Parable of Dollars. It's actually based on this parable of the talents, because talent in those days is like what you can call dollars today. Okay? It's like what we can call dollars. So it's just like saying that you gave somebody $5,000, you gave another person $2,000, you gave another person $1,000, and you told them, go and do business with this, go and trade with it. And then he went on a long journey. That means he was not even there to supervise them. He was not there to provide guidance. He was not there to provide direction. But when he came back, the one with $5,000 had multiplied it to $10,000. The one with $2,000 had multiplied it to $4,000. The one with $1,000 was complaining. What do you mean? You think you are smart? You want us to be doing the work while you go on vacation? Nonsense. Stupid man. Wicked man. He started saying a lot of things, and he didn't do anything with the money. He just kept it somewhere. And then when the man said, this is your money, you take your money, the man was like, like I gave you money and you just kept it. At least you could have put it in the bank, or you could have put it in piggy vest or in an investment or something, and I would have got some interest on it. Now, I'm not, whatever investment you want to do your own research. I'm not making any recommendations. Okay, you take responsibility for whatever. But the point is that this guy was saying you could have at least put my money in the bank. Yesterday, Standard Chartered sent me a text message. Standard Chartered Bank. They said that the interest rate on my savings account has now increased to 5.5%. Yes, it is small, but 5.5% is better than nothing. Now imagine that. So the man was telling the guy that, fine, you could have at least put this money in the bank. I would have earned some interest on it. And that's the way a lot of people are. They keep complaining their boss is not doing this, their company is not doing that. They don't recognize the opportunity they have been given. Life, regardless of the situation we find ourselves, life gives us opportunities. Life gives us resources that we're expected to invest and bring a harvest out of those resources. You understand? Out of that investment. But a lot of people just complain. So the apprenticeship program gives you opportunities, gives you resources, things that you would have paid for, but now you are getting them for free. So what are you going to do with those things? You understand? It is up to you. Okay, so keep that also at the back of your mind. Then we have Gideon's army. Gideon, go and read that story also. You can also Google it. Gideon gathered an army of over around 32,000 people or thereabout to fight a much larger army. And God still told him, the army that Gideon wanted to fight is already much larger, maybe like 5 times bigger than Gideon's army. But God still told Gideon that, see, these people are too many. Just give them a lot of tests and prune them down. At the end of the day, 32,000 people became 300. So that's like 1% or thereabouts, or even less. Now, you can do the maths. Now, 32,000 people were reduced to, imagine 32,000 people apply for a job and you only pick 300. What percentage is that? So that is the model we have also adopted, because it's not everybody that can do the kind of thing we want to do. It's not everybody that has that mindset, that has that readiness to build. What we're looking is to build. It's not just people that just want a job. We're looking for people that want to build themselves, okay, then build organizations, build products and services, build the nation, then move people from problem to potential. Do you understand? Okay, so that's you would notice that in our prison. That's why only a few people get in. like most of the time we don't take more than 6 people per cohort, and a lot of the time we have less than 6 people. Okay, then David's army also, David was just a regular guy. He was just taking care of his father's sheep. One thing led to another. He killed Goliath based on what he had learned, okay, while he was taking care of his father's sheep, and nobody was paying him for that. He faced a lot of crises, a lot of challenges which he dealt with. The lion came, he killed the lion. The bear came, he killed the bear. He could have run away, that what is my own? It's not, if he had run away, they would even have commended him. But he didn't run away. He stayed there, he faced it, dealt with it, and because of that, he was able to kill Goliath. And one thing led to another. Then Saul was running after him. Then people came to meet David when he was just running about. He was more like a fugitive at that point. But people came to meet him, and the Bible says that people that were distressed, people that were in debt, people that didn't know where their life was headed, those were the kind of people that came to David. But David groomed them, and they eventually became the mighty men of David. That's also the kind of thing we are doing with this program. When you hear people's stories, you'll be amazed, like, where did you start from? Where are you now? You can see that transformation. Okay. Then the leadership model of Jesus also had the same, experience. People that, were non-entities in those days, as it were, humanly speaking, those were the people that, Jesus brought together, and he made something out of them, such that at the end of the day, it was said about the disciples of Jesus, the people that turned the world upside down have also come here. Then some people saw what they did, and they said, they said they were surprised because they were not learned. They didn't have the kind of degrees, the kind of certificates that people expected, them to have. Like, if you are doing this kind of thing, you should be learned to a level. They were not. They were doing amazing things, and they took notice that they had been with Jesus. Okay. Then you can also think about the cinema and the classroom. When you go to a cinema, you sit down, you are entertained, you watch, the screen, and all. Cinema and classrooms look similar in terms of the fact that, okay, you sit down, there is a screen in front and all of that, but they are different. The cinema is for entertainment. The classroom is for education. So when you go into the classroom is in a school, and you have to pay school fees, you have to pay for your project, you still have to attend classes, you have to do tests, you have to submit, and you pay. You actually pay to learn, okay? So it's important. So that is what the apprenticeship program is also like. You actually pay, okay, to learn, okay? But at the end of the day, when you learn well, you can also become a lecturer. You can create a value in a lot of different ways. You can get a job, and then it is totally worthwhile. Okay, but it's important that you have that mindset. And finally, think of soldiers and missionaries. Nobody becomes a soldier or a missionary because they want to make money. They are looking for something higher. They do it for a higher purpose. So the people that will excel in this program is not for the money. Okay, it's for a higher purpose. Okay. So you need to adopt that mindset of a soldier or a missionary, okay? And, as a soldier, your country, under normal circumstances, your country takes care of everything you need, okay? But you are not doing it for the money, it's not for the salary. As a missionary also, the organization you are working with, they take care of everything you need, okay? So if you are going to excel in this program, you need to have that mindset of, okay, you are thinking like a soldier, or you are thinking like a missionary, knowing that at the end of the day, the money will come, you make the money, you get fulfillment, you get everything else. But if you are fixated on the money, you are fixated on the personal benefits, then you are going to miss out. So you should be fixated on the responsibilities, okay? You should be focused, not fixated necessarily, but you should be focused on the responsibilities and not the privileges, okay? So that is the idea. So some of the responsibilities or the commitments required, you need a commitment to personal growth. Some people ask, for example, do I need to read all the books? If you are committed to your personal growth, you don't ask those kind of questions. Reading books will never, like, books that are good for you, it will not, like, there is no way in which it can be a disadvantage. You understand? So you just want to pursue personal growth for the sake of personal growth. You want to learn for the sake of learning. Like great leaders, yes, great leaders have that habit. So you read books, you take up projects, you take courses, you do a lot of things, okay, deliberately pursuing personal growth. Then you are also expected to attend group coaching sessions. We're going to have group coaching sessions at least once a week, 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. or 7:10 a.m. About 40 minutes to 1 hour on Tuesdays by 6:30 a.m. Okay, on Tuesdays. If necessary, we may have other group coaching sessions that will be announced, but we have at least that one every week. Then we have daily deliverables. There's a spreadsheet where you can see, this is what we're working on, and you pick what you want to work on, okay, for the day and for the week. Then we have peer review. When we work on projects, we share, okay, we look at it, you bring in your input, you bring in your comments. Then we have reports and assessments. There is a weekly report that you are going to submit. Then at the end of this session also, there is a report. There is a feedback report that you are going to complete, okay, at the end of this particular, session. But every week also, there is a weekly report. Then there are various reports based on the project you are working on and all of that. And assessments, okay, you will assess yourself. We also assess you because you cannot improve what you don't measure. So we need to see, okay, the rate of growth, okay. Now, remuneration. Fine, we've said you are not fixated on the money, you are not focused on the money, but we'll still give you what you need. There is a training allowance for the first 6 weeks. Okay, every participant in the program will get the sum of 10,000 naira for the first 6 weeks to cover the cost of data, the basic cost and all of that for the first 6 weeks. Then after then, okay, there's a monthly stipend of 15,000 naira for those that successfully complete the 6 weeks. Now, if after 2 or 3 weeks we see that your attitude is not okay, we can ask you to leave, But for those that successfully complete the 6 weeks and that show that these are the kind of people we are looking for, and they also see us as the kind of company they are looking for. So there's a monthly stipend of 15,000 naira that is basic. Now, on top of that, you have referral bonus, you have profit sharing, then you have performance-based remuneration. So you still get paid when you work on projects and you perform well. Okay, when you refer people to the company, we have a referral bonus of 3.5%. So if you refer, people and they work on, they give us projects. You know that the money they are paying is not profit. The money is gross income. Out of it, we pay people that work on the project. We get money, we pay money for the tools and resources we need and all of that. But you get 3.5% of that gross income, okay, as referral bonus. Then profit sharing for some of our platforms, for example, Virtual Business School. We're going to give you coupon codes, to access courses on Virtual Business School at 90% off. That means you, as participant in this program, what people are paying, for example, if people are paying 100,000 naira for a course, you are only going to pay 10,000 naira, and you don't even have to pay that 10,000 naira. You can share that course with others, get others to buy the course because you have seen what we offer. You will know the quality. Get others to promote the course to others, and then you get 50%. Okay, for everybody that registers on Virtual Business School, and that's just one. We'll share others in the course of the program. You get 50%. So out of the money that you get, then you can pay for your own. Do you get? So it's actually free. Do you get? So profit sharing, we're sharing 50% of the profit with you. Okay, and there are lots of other opportunities like that. So the point is, if you are ready to do the work, there are opportunities to make money. Now, course to think about. You cannot legislate or enforce commitment. You can only inspire those who are already so disposed. Okay, so if you are not already disposed to, positively disposed to what we're talking about, we can't force you to do it. So you have to think for yourself and make up your mind. Okay, does this look like the kind of thing I want to do? So if this looks like the kind of thing you want to do, what we're trying to do is to inspire you and to show you what is possible. But if you are like, no, this is not what I want to do, then you can find the kind of opportunity that works for you. But remember that, as Jim Rohn said, if you are not willing to risk the unusual, you will have to settle for the ordinary. We know that what we're offering is unusual, it's not, like the regular job and all of that, but it's not for everybody. It's for those that understand it and that appreciate, what it is, and they see that we help them to move in the direction in which they think their lives should be headed. So think about these two quotes. You cannot legislate or enforce commitment. You can only inspire those who are already so disposed. That's from Philip Amiola. That's me. Then we have this from Jim Rohn. If you are not willing to risk the unusual, you will have to settle for the ordinary. Okay, so please complete the feedback form, for this session. You can do that by going to training.tpcl.com.ng/feedback. Then one of the ways to make money that I spoke about, the fact that there's profit sharing. One of those options you can find out at philipamiola.org/payout. Go there, go through the process yourself, see what it looks like, and then let us know if you have any questions. You can ask on the discussion platform. We'll put you through. Okay, so you get 50%. For every referral, you get 50%, which is actually $50. Okay, so if you refer 10 people in a month, that's $500. Imagine, what that means right now. At the time of recording this presentation, it's $100 is around 77,000 naira. So if you make $500 in a month, you know what that means, out of just sharing opportunities with people. Okay. Then we have ready-made websites, which you can access at websites.digitalbanyan.uk. You can also sell that, and you also get commission on that. And this commission is not even, is not just the 3.5%. You get the 3.5% commission for referring people, but you are already acquiring these skills also. So if you are the one that builds the website, you also get paid for that separately, which is part of our performance-based remuneration that we talk about. And you still get your 15,000 stipend, constant, you see. So it depends on how you apply yourself to the program. Okay, we've talked about virtual business school already. Then if you have questions, you can always post them on our Plenipotent Co community. You can access that by going to digitalvineyard.uk/RSVP. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this session. So if you still have comments and questions, you can post in the chat, or you can post on our discussion platform by going to digitalvineyard.uk/RSVP. Okay, thank you very much. So let's take our closing prayer. As the seed of Abraham, by reason of God's grace and mercy upon my life, I have unlocked the growth potential and profitability in what I am doing. This has created options. I have chosen the straight and narrow path of using the liberty my position has given me for its true goal, which is to be innovative and to multiply what I have through cooperation, being a blessing to others. With my face set upon my new goal of building a globally scalable $1 trillion company, I daily appropriate this by using my words, God's promises, to impress images of our future on my heart, and then thanking God faithfully because this is my new experience. We have delegated the units of labor here to the right people with the right talent and attitude, without any form of partiality based on past emotional bonds. They, in turn, under the influence of the intent and images of the Holy Spirit, have been highly productive, all working together for the common goal. We have created systems and structures to deal with the complex issues our growth brought, and we have done this without dropping the ball even once. We responded to every negative feedback with compassion, easily touched with the feelings of their pain. We were highly accurate in predicting the future that wasn't apparent, and also in executing our strategies. Our new position brought us fierce competition, but as the scripture says, I declare to my seed, you have possessed the gates of your enemies and inherited the wealth of the Gentiles. My seed, the Plenipotent Company, though you started as the smallest in the garden, you have become the most dominant institution in your field in this nation. I declare to every single person in this outfit that the life and wisdom of God works in you, and you have performed with an excellent spirit. Having experienced and learned how capital truly unfolds in a situation, I am now set for the next phase of my life. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and bye for now.